Muslim woman in Ohio claims she was forced to attend Christian services while incarcerated. And I want to put this out there is that this is actually sort of, I guess you can say, a positive story when it comes to religious, to the religious demographic, that we actually support this person on this view. At least I do. So, Drew, have at it.
A Muslim woman says Cuyahoga County jailers violated her constitutional rights by forcing her to attend Christian prayer services while she served a jail sentence, according to a federal lawsuit filed on Tuesday. Shekinah Majid, a 24-year-old Rocky River resident, alleges county correction officers Regina Watts forced her, under threat of solitary confinement, to attend weekly services after she was assigned to an area of the jail for low-level offenders. Majid's lawsuit states that another officer, whose first name she doesn't know, quote, openly chastised and mocked her when she refused to actively participate in the services. Majid was released from the jail in June after serving a 60-day jail sentence on a misdemeanor assault conviction. She had been accused of assaulting 2 Cleveland police officers and a third man. The lawsuit says that Majid suffered emotional distress and humiliation, seeks unspecified damages, and names as defendants Watts, Sheriff Frank Bova, and Cuyahoga County as a whole. Rich Luchet, a county spokesman, declined to comment on the lawsuit, but Bova said that in a phone interview that the jail offers a Muslim service and services for all other major faiths. We accommodate every faith up here, and no one is forced to go to any service, Bova said. It's all voluntary. The lawsuit alleges the defendant also broke a federal law that prohibits jails and prisons from placing a burden on inmates' ability to worship as they please. Matthew Besser, Majid's lawyer, said other inmates, Christians and non-Christians alike, were forced to attend the services with Majid. The government can't tell people which God to pray to or whether to pray at all, Besser said.
Thanks, Drew. One thing I want to say is I don't know how true this story is, and I'm going to take it for granted that it is true. Just putting it out there. Okay, not saying it's true. We'll let the judicial system figure that one out. But I want to say if this is true, yeah, that is a violation of her constitutional right. You know what I mean? If she's incarcerated, they have no right to tell her that, of course, she has to attend these services. You know what I mean? Of course, the majority, if we want to look at the incarceration rate here in the United States, I think it's 90%. Don't quote me on that, but it's very high of Christians that are incarcerated. I think it's below 1% for atheists, and then I think it's a few percent on Jewish and Muslims. So the majority out there are Christians. So could I see there's a possibility that this has happened? Yeah, I see that the possibility has happened out there. So it's something we need to question and need to stick up for, you know, at least make it publicly known that this probably happened or could happen. So I think this was, whose story was this?
This was mine.
So go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, she said the deal in there about how supposedly, or she didn't say, the spokesperson for the county said that no one is forced to go to any service, but I think that's probably how they got out of it. Because she wasn't forced to go to the service. They were just said, it's either this or you go to solitary confinement. So that's probably, I guess, how they got out of that. But the main point that I wanted to make is that I don't see a lot of conservative Christians would see this as a big deal necessarily. But could you imagine if the situation was reversed? And there was something along the lines where they force a Christian to go to like a Muslim prayer meeting or something like that?
Well, I'm sure if you're in any kind of theocratic society or in the Middle East, that probably would happen, because we hear many accounts where that Christians, when they're captured by ISIS or whatever militant group out there, where they make them convert to Islam before they're executed. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I can see that probably happening. You know, what the hell?
No, I mean, if it happened anywhere, not even in the most extreme.
I'm just using that as an example, saying or in their territory. You know what I mean?
It's similar. I mean, it's not the same thing, but it's similar to the whole Guantanamo Bay thing, the torture reports that have come out and stuff like that. And a lot of these people, I forget, me and TJ went over the stats the other night of the percentage of these people that thought it was A-OK, torture is fine, justifiable in this situation, and the majority of them were Christians. It was like 70-something% of American Christians thought it was okay. If the roles were reversed and we found out ISIS or Hezbollah or Hamas, whatever,
Holy
was
shit.
doing that to
Yeah.
American troops.
Look, if it's torture when someone does it to your sister or your mother or something like that, then it's torture when they do it to anybody. Is basically the fucking point. In order to say it's not torture if I do it to someone I don't know and I don't like or whatever, then you're just an asshole and you don't understand like double standards, pretty much.
And I'm sorry, I can't remember who.
Or hypocrisy.
Who said this to actually properly give him credit, but like, okay, talk about the Geneva Convention. We didn't draft the Geneva Convention because we give a shit about our prisoners that we take in wartime. We care about the enemy treating our soldiers okay, you know? We don't we don't really think about in mind of what we care about the people we capture. We think about how the people who get captured are going to be treated. And we don't want them to go through this shit, so why the fuck would we inflict it on the people we capture?
He's using a blender.
Do you
My
do that?
wife.
Oh, okay.
I thought someone was doing some kind of Hindu prayer in the background.
Oh, we're in chat right here, and
I
Drew.
thought it was Dark Matter's kid.
Drew said, "Who's using a blender in chat here in Skype?" Oh my god, that's a good one.
It's all right, Paul. It's all right. It's not that
It's
bad.
okay, Paul. No, it was very. You couldn't really hear it. Trust me. So that's fine. But John, what do you? John, go ahead.
I could totally see something like this happening. Of course, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm inclined to believe it. I mean, it's certainly within the realm of
Sounds
possibility.
plausible.
But yeah, and like when I was in the Army, I remember in basic training, you could go to the chapel. They call it an interdenominational thing, but it was Christianity, you know. Or you could do KP duty. You got KP duty, or you can go to church. You know, and what the fuck are you going to do, right?
Well, what's KP duty to the people
You're kitchen police. You're in the kitchen all day, scrubbing dishes and cleaning up the mess hall.
So it's either you work your ass off in the kitchen,
Yeah.
or you just go in and clasp your hands together and just pray to a non-fictional God that you don't
That's what I'm
believe in.
saying. It's roundabout. Technically, they gave you a choice. They didn't force it on you. But it's like you will take care of all the shit buckets, or you can go to church.
Yeah,
That's how. Yeah, we had a choice of KP or GI in the barracks, or go to church. Sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
but that's only when you're. That's until you are full service. And then they take it. It's a little bit different.
one thing I want to say is this Shekinah Majid. Yeah, if her claim's true and she has evidence to provide in her court case, and it's basically empirical evidence that she has, people admit that they did do this to her, and hopefully she sues them for a lot, because it's violation of her constitutional freedoms, basic human rights. You know what I mean? You can't force anybody to go to Christian fucking service. And I'm just saying, if her claim is true, we need to realize that we don't know if she's just doing this for publicity or it actually happened. So we want to be honest here.
Yeah.
We want to be honest as individuals, but I did in the perspective as in, if this actually did happen or it did happen, then of course she has a case. Of course, nobody should ever tell anybody what they have to do.
Yeah.
Also, as a side note, her reason for being incarcerated, I mean, it's certainly possible, but just to me, it just sounds like bullshit. And you got a woman who is accused of assaulting 2 police officers, right? I mean, that just sounds kind of dubious to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly
sexist
possible.
bastard.
It is possible, but
Yeah, I mean, but you know what happened? Probably the cops were fucking with her, and maybe she was stood up for herself a little too much, or maybe they went to cuff her and she pulled away, or something like that. They I don't know. I just seen too many exaggerations.
She's obviously not a black lady.
Yeah, she's obviously, that's her, by the way, on the image, but that's her.
She violently assaulted.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all over the
cops.
major media outlets, man. The story. So yeah.
by the way, for the actual numbers for prisoners and stuff, when they did the religious affiliation, they actually had a survey. There's data requested. Hammett actually got the data and put it on his blog. Catholic had 52,000 respondents. Protestant was 62.6 thousand respondents. No preference is 37,000. And let me see, atheist 161.
Wow.
Muslim is 12,000.
Wow. You guys were the
So,
immoral
I mean,
motherfuckers, by the way,
it
so you
obviously
know.
ranges, but yeah.
Nice.
Wow,
So, so we're too
unbelievable.
smart to get caught.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it means. I mean, we're definitely doing fucked up shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's
God.
it looks like Scientology is 17, but most of those people are probably like the rich people that buy off people. So how could there be really large numbers, right?
We're all oriented towards corpses and animals.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, damn.
Corpses and animals.
TJ,
The logic from that, man.
I think TJ stopped here. I think he's looking at porn. You okay, TJ? Got anything else to say?
Totally fapping. Only one hand's visible.
Yeah, he
That's
is.
a
Yeah, I
sign.
know, dude.
Actually, someone said the interview, and I remembered all this shit that I had to download.